My name is Cole Keaton, and I make a living buying things people don't understand and selling them to people who do. Antiques, estate pieces, forgotten collections pulled out of basements after someone dies. I don't restore them, and I don't get attached. I identify value, confirm authenticity, and move them along. If it can sit in a glass case or disappear into a private vault, I've probably handled something like it. I've also bent rules to get there. Nothing, too dramatic. No headlines. But I've skimmed when I knew no one would notice. I've flipped items with paperwork I didn't ask too many questions about. I've let grief work in my favor more than once. If someone wanted to call that unethical, I wouldn't argue. I'd just tell them that's how business works. I'd done enough questionable things over the years that my internal warning system was dulled. If a deal looked strange but paid well, I learned to look at the numbers instead of the shape of it. Missing details didn't bother me. Silence didn't bother me. People who wanted discretion usually did. So when the job offer came through, short notice, one night only, NDA, flight included, it didn't strike me as unusual. If anything, it sounded like the kind of work that didn't want a paper trail. Most people would have seen red flags. I saw efficiency. The money was wired before I asked a single follow-up question. And I accepted. The plane wasn't a passenger jet. It was a cargo plane, wide and hollow, the kind with a ribbed metal interior and tie-down rails bolted into the floor. No windows I could see. No flight attendants. Just a single fold-down seat mounted near the center. The rest of the plane was packed with Christmas trees. That was the cargo. Not pallets, not crates. Trees. Dozens of them. Packed so tightly their branches were crushed together under cargo netting. Every single one fully decorated. Ornaments, tinsel, everything. And the entire time, Christmas music was playing. Loud. Big brass sections. Choirs. Bells layered on top of bells. The speakers were mounted somewhere in the cargo bay, and they were cranked high enough that the sound bounced off the walls. I hated it. I hate Christmas. People hear that, and they assume it's a personality quirk, or that I'm trying to be edgy. I am not. I just learned early that Christmas isn't what people pretend it is. It's a performance, and if you miss your cue, you're the one who pays for it. When I was a kid, my mom was an alcoholic. Not the kind you see in movies, no bottles hidden in the walls, no dramatic interventions. She held the job, paid the bills, functioned just well enough that nobody stepped in, which meant it was just the two of us year after year. Every December, she'd ask me what I wanted for Christmas. She always sounded sincere when she asked. I believed her the first few times. I'd tell her something small, a toy, a game, a book, something simple. And every year, she forgot. Not just the gift, the conversation. Christmas morning would come and I'd wake up early, sit by the tree and wait. Hours would pass. Noon would come and go. By the time she stumbled home, it was always dark out. She'd act surprised that it was Christmas. Sometimes there were no presents. Sometimes there was something random she'd grabbed on the way home. A sweater that didn't fit. A DVD I already owned. One year, she handed me a candy bar from a gas station and said we'd do something special later. We never did. By the time I was 8, I stopped expecting anything. That was the year she came home so drunk she couldn't make it to her own bedroom. Passed out on the couch with the TV still blaring carols. I shut it off, pulled a blanket over her, cleaned vomit off the armrest with paper towels because it was already drying. That's not something an 8-year-old should know how to do. So when that music blasted through the cargo plane, song after song insisting that everybody should be happy, I didn't feel nostalgic. I felt trapped. Wedged between decorated trees, freezing, listening to voices sing about joy like it was mandatory. I stared at the ornaments inches from my face and reminded myself of the only rule that ever mattered. Don't expect anything. The music kept playing all the way until the wheels hit the ice. The plane didn't land. It felt like it crashed. There was no warning, no gradual descent. 1 second the engines were droning steadily, Christmas music blaring overhead, and the next the entire cargo bay dropped hard enough to throw me out of my seat. I hadn't buckled in. My shoulder hit first, then my ribs. I went sideways into the trees, branches snapping and ornaments shattering as I crashed through them. Needles scraped my face. Something sharp cut my cheek. I bounced off one trunk, then another. The air punched out of my lungs as I hit the floor. And that damn music kept playing. I tried to get my hands under me and slammed shoulder first into another tree. Real pine branches scraped my face, needles biting my skin. Sap smeared across my jacket, and something sharp sliced my cheek, and I felt warm blood run immediately. Ornaments shattered as I crashed through them, glass popping and skittering across the floor. The trees slowed me down. That was the only reason I didn't break something. Trunks bent, branches snapped. Needles filled my mouth when I hit again. It hurt like hell. Every impact knocked the air out of me, rattled my teeth, sent pain flaring through my ribs and back. The engines screamed. The cargo bay lurched sideways, and I went with it, lifted off my feet and thrown hard into another wall of trees. A heavy branch caught me across the chest. I yelled, but the music swallowed it completely. And then the Christmas music stopped. No fade, no warning, just gone. At the same instant, the plane jolted again. Without the music to mask it, the sound was violent, and I was flung one last time into the trees. Then nothing. No engines, no music. I lay there gasping, staring up at the branches swaying overhead. Broken ornaments dangled from bent wire hooks. My hands were shaking when I finally pushed myself upright. Everything hurt, but nothing felt broken. The rear ramp groaned as it began to lower. Snow was coming down hard, sideways in the wind. A full whiteout that swallowed the plane almost as soon as I stepped onto the ice. Visibility dropped to a few yards at best. The whole world reduced to blowing white and the dark shape of a warehouse ahead. Cold air hit immediately. I staggered toward the opening, stepping over snapped branches and shattered glass as the ramp hit solid ground. Ice, flat and dull, stretching out in every direction beneath a sky that didn't look day or night. There were no runway lights, no markings, no vehicles waiting, just open emptiness. The cargo plane didn't wait. Behind me, the ramp already started to rise. I turned in time to see it seal itself shut, metal locking into place. The engines roared back to life, and within seconds the plane was lifting off again, vanishing into the low clouds like it never even been there. The wind picked up immediately, cutting across the ice and biting through my jacket. I stood there for a long time, chest still tight from the fall, and then I looked out across the empty expanse in front of me. And that's when the color hit me. The warehouse wasn't dull or industrial or camouflaged against the ice. It was bright red. Not faded, not weathered, not painted over metal, showing through at the edges. It was the kind of red that looks wet even when it isn't. Christmas red. The kind you see on wrapping paper that hasn't been creased yet. On bows that still hold their shape. On displays that are meant to be noticed from far away. That color did not belong out here, surrounded by nothing but ice and sky. It looked dropped into place, like a mistake no one had corrected. As I walked closer, the shape became impossible to ignore. It wasn't just a warehouse, it was shaped like a present. Perfectly rectangular, tall and wide, with edges so sharp they looked machined. A massive ribbon wrapped around the entire structure. Thick, dark bands running vertically and horizontally, bolted straight into the walls like load-bearing supports. Where a bow should have been, the roof rose into a twisted knot of metal loops, exaggerated and deliberate, like someone had tried to sculpt a bow out of steel. The red surface was flawless. No scratches. No ice buildup somehow. No snow clinging to the base. The color hadn't dulled in the cold, hadn't chipped or cracked. It looked maintained, polished. There were no tire tracks leading to it, no road, no cleared path. Nothing that explained how something this big had gotten here, or how anyone accessed it. It just sat on the ice, like it'd always been there. I approached the front, boots slipping slightly with each step. The seam of a door was worked clearly into the ribbon pattern. No handle, no keypad, no visible lock. Just a precise outline, almost invisible unless you were close enough to see it. I raised my hand, not sure what I planned to do. And before I could touch it, there was a deep mechanical click from inside. The door unlocked. It slid open just wide enough for me to step through. And then it closed behind me with a heavy final thud. The cold followed me in. Inside, the space opened into a vast concrete interior, the ceiling disappearing into shadow above. Long rows of crates stretched away from the entrance, stacked neatly, and marked with stenciled numbers. Candles burned throughout the warehouse, placed at precise intervals. Their flames were steady. The walls were lined with paper, flyers, warnings. They weren't all the same flyer, and that was what made them worse. Some were newer, printed on clean white paper with sharp black ink. Others were yellowed, curling at the edges, held to the wall with strips of old tape that had lost its grip. A few looked like they'd been copied so many times, the letters were starting to blur. I stopped long enough to read 3 of them. The first one was centered at eye level. The Candy Cane Massacre, 1976. Do not allow striped tools or decorations into Workshop B, it read. Krampus is attracted to the scent of sugar and dye. 8 elves lost. No remains recovered. Below that, someone had written a handwritten note in red marker. If it looks festive, it isn't worth it. The second flyer was older, thicker paper. The font looked like it come from a typewriter. The Silent Night Incident, 1989. Music after curfew resulted in a breach. Krampus mimicked carols to draw staff out of hiding. 11 elves lost before containment was restored. Someone had underlined mimicked 3 times. The third one was newer than the others. The ink hadn't faded yet. The North Wing breach, 4 days before Christmas. 9 elves lost. Cause. Rule deviation. Krampus ate them. I kept walking, noticing more names as I passed. The Tinsel Fire, 1954. The Bell Tower Failure, 2003. The Sleigh Bell Lockdown, date redacted. Every flyer followed the same structure. Event name, year, rule broken, body count. Whoever worked here didn't memorialize the dead. They documented mistakes. The further I went in, the more candles I saw. Each one placed exactly where it needed to be, spaced evenly along the floor and on crate corners. Near the entrance, a folding table had been set up like a checkpoint, and on it sat a clipboard held down by a heavy stone. There was one sheet of paper, and my name was printed neatly at the top. Welcome Cole Keaton, member of the naughty list. Here are your rules to survive the North Pole. Before I could read a single word, someone spoke behind me. Hi. I turned. She stood a few feet back, leaning against a crate like she'd been there the whole time. Normal height? Blonde hair tucked under one of those pointed red hats elves wear, the long soft kind that droops to one side. I'd seen them in decorations my whole life. Seeing one in person made my brain stall for a second. She was smoking a cigarette. The ember glowed bright against the cold air. New here, huh? Yeah, I replied. She nodded, like that confirmed something. And then she held out the cigarette. Want one? Sure, I replied. She lit another for herself, shielding the flame with her palm. And we smoked in silence for a few seconds, just looking at each other. The cigarette tasted like licorice. So you here by yourself? She asked. Looks like it. She laughed quietly. Yeah, they like doing that. I glanced back at the rules page in my hand, and then at the flyers on the wall. So you work here? Oh, I used to. Sort of, she said. I took another drag. Sort of. She shrugged. I got kicked out. Kicked out from where? She smiled around the cigarette. The workshop, silly. I nodded like that meant something to me. It did not. None of this did. She exhaled smoke slowly. Smoking's a problem for them, you know. Fire risk. 400 million presents are pretty flammable, they say. She took a final drag, then pressed the cigarette out against the concrete with the sole of her boot. I followed her example. She nodded toward the page in my hand. You know, you should read those. Yeah, I said. All of them, she continued. And this time there was not any humor in it. I unfolded the paper again. She leaned in just enough to glance at it, then leaned back. They'll know if you skim. I didn't ask who they were. What's your name? I asked instead. She blinked once, like she hadn't expected basic manners out of me. Holly. Holly, I repeated. Oh, don't laugh, she said. I wasn't going to. She gave me a look that said she didn't believe me, and then she adjusted her hat. And when she did, the brim shifted, and I saw it again. One ear, just for a second, pointed. She saw my eyes catch it, and didn't bother hiding it. "Yep, that too," she said. I glanced back at the flyers, then at the candles, then at the endless crates. I didn't know what to do with any of it, so I did what I always did. I didn't do anything. Holly hooked a thumb over her shoulder. "Well, I've got wrapping to do." "Wrapping," I repeated. She smirked. "Presents. The whole point of the place, trying to keep up." She took 2 steps, then stopped and looked back at me. "It's your night," she said. "Don't get clever. Don't wander. Don't decide you're the exception." I held up the page. "So what, I just follow these?" "Yes," she interrupted. "Follow them exactly." She turned slowly and walked away between the crates, and I watched her go. I snapped myself out of it. "Now's not the time, Cole. You've got other things to think about." I looked back down at the page. I read, "Rules for North Pole Night Operations. Subject, Cole Keaton. Status, Naughty List, active. Read them once, read them right. These rules decide who lasts the night. Rule number 1. Keep the candles burning bright. Darkness feeds what hunts at night. If a candle fades or dies, relight it fast or change your side. Number 2. If animal stink fills nose and head, stay in the glow. Do not tread. Do not run, do not go. You can't outrun fate. You already know. 3. If someone cries for help outside, do not answer, do not decide. Doors stay shut once night is here. Nothing living waits out there. Rule 4. Krampus wears a Santa face. Same red suit, same boots, same pace. One brings gifts, one keeps the score. Choose the wrong one, nothing more. Rule 5. If you see eyes low, wide, and bright, do not move and do not fight. The Yule Cat waits for those who stray. Stillness keeps its claws at bay. And rule number 6. Don't be naughty. Don't test fate. Greed will make you hesitate. I read it twice, then a third time, slower. I folded the page carefully and slipped it into my jacket pocket. And I stood there by the candle, waiting to find out which rule would matter first. It didn't take long. Every candle in the warehouse went out at once. The light didn't fade. It collapsed. Darkness slammed in so fast my eyes couldn't adjust. I stood there blind, heart kicking hard against my ribs, hands hovering uselessly in the dark. And then something hit from below. A deep boom rolled up through the floor, heavy enough to rattle my teeth. The concrete seemed to flex under my boots. Another boom. Closer. My brain locked up. How do I light them? All the candles. What do I have to light candles with? I said out loud. I can't even see them. Another boom slammed upward, close enough that dust shook loose somewhere above me. The darkness pressed in, total now. I took a step and nearly stumbled. Then I saw it. A faint glint near the folding table. Not light exactly, just a soft metallic shine, like something catching illumination that shouldn't exist. The lighter? Holly's lighter. It was glowing. Not enough to light the room, but enough to show itself, like it wanted to be found. I lunged for it, fingers closing around warm metal. And the moment I picked it up, the glow sharpened, outlining the wheel and the cap in dull orange. Another boom hit, right beneath me now. Something scraped. A low, monstrous sound rolled through the floor, thick and wet. I flipped the lighter open and struck the wheel. Nothing. Again, sparks. Again, flame. I jammed it in the nearest candle wick, and it caught instantly, a small flame flaring to life. The pressure eased for half a second. I didn't stop. I moved fast, lighting candle after candle, hands shaking, lighter burning hot against my fingers. Each flame pushed the darkness back a little more, like it didn't want to leave, but it had no choice. The booms were right under me now. The floor bowed slightly, groaning under the weight of something massive pressing up. One candle left. The monstrous sound rose, close enough that I felt it in my bones. I struck the lighter again. The flame sputtered. I struck it again, and the final candle caught. And light came back into the warehouse all at once. The sound stopped mid-breath. The pressure vanished. I stood there, frozen, lighter clenched in my hand, chest heaving. Nothing moved. It was gone. I stood there for a few seconds, waiting for the light to betray me again. It didn't. The candles held. The warehouse stayed still. I picked one candle up from a crate and started walking. The farther I went, the less the place felt like storage, and the more it felt like a house everyone had stepped out of mid-conversation. Doors stood open, hallways curved where straight lines shouldn't. The crates gave way to rooms. A room filled with shelves of wrapped gifts, each one tagged with neat handwriting. Names, ages, places. A room where toys floated softly in the air, rotating as if being inspected by hands I couldn't see. A room where paintbrushes cleaned themselves in jars, colors bleeding and separating like living things. Magic. It was magic. And no one there. The candlelight stretched and bent as I walked, shadows moving in ways that didn't match my steps. I passed a work table where a half-finished doll sat upright, its glass eyes catching the flame. I think it was watching me. Somewhere above me, something chimed softly. And that's when I heard it. A soft clicking sound. I followed it into a smaller room tucked off to one side, one that felt quieter than the rest. A little boy sat on the floor, legs crossed, pushing a toy car back and forth in front of him. He looked up when I stepped inside. "Hi," he said and waved. I stopped. He was young, 7, maybe 8, pale but calm, wearing a hoodie that swallowed up his hands. He smiled like kids do when they've been waiting a long time and someone finally shows up. "Hello," I said. "You're not my dad," he replied, "just stating a fact." "No, I'm not," I replied. "He's late," the boy said, going back to his car. "But that's okay, he's working extra." "Yeah?" "Yeah, he said this Christmas he's bringing me something special." The boy looked up again. "He promised." I noticed it then. The bracelet on his wrist. A hospital band, faded but still readable. The plastic worn soft from too much handling. When he shifted, I saw the small mark just below it. A healed IV site. "My name's Max," he said. "Hello, Max," I replied. He nodded and pushed the toy car forward again, then pulled it back. He kept it inside the candlelight without thinking about it. "He said he'd be back," Max began. "He always comes back late, but this year he said it'd be worth it." "Why's that?" I asked. Max smiled. "He's bringing me a train set." "He told me about it all already," Max went on. "It's old, like the kind with metal parts. He said it cost a lot, but that's okay. He said I deserve it." I watched his hands as he played. The car never made a sound when it touched the floor. No scrape or click. "I'm waiting here," Max said, "so he knows where I am." "Okay," I said. Max looked up at me again. "You can go if you want." "I know," I replied. I took a step back. Max didn't follow me with his eyes. He just kept playing, patient and focused, like time didn't matter to him anymore. I backed out of the room and closed the door. I stood there for a moment, then turned and kept walking. I didn't need to think about what Max was. I already understood. The kid was dead. I didn't know where his dad was, or how long he'd been working late, or what kind of factory job justified all that waiting. But I knew one thing for sure. Ghosts don't get train sets. Hell, I didn't even get a present when I was a kid, and I wasn't dead. Look, that's not cruelty, okay? That's math. Life doesn't circle back and make things fair just because someone suffered, okay? It moves on. It forgets. It leaves things unfinished, and, that's how life is. I kept walking. The hallway curved away from the room, the candle flame steady in my hand. The workshop stretched on, rooms branching off in quiet symmetry, toys suspended mid-task, like the place had paused itself out of courtesy. I didn't look back. Feeling bad wouldn't help him, okay? Wouldn't help me either. I had rules to follow, candles to keep lit, a night to survive. And whatever this place was, it wasn't built for reunions. Still, as I moved deeper into the workshop, I found myself checking the tags on the wrapped gifts I passed. Names I didn't recognize, addresses I'd never heard of. I told myself that meant nothing. As I walked, I told myself a lot of things. The candlelight stayed steady as I passed into another section of the workshop, this one narrower, the ceiling lower. Shelves lined the walls, stacked with half-finished toys and bins of parts, wheels, gears, tiny brass screws sorted by size. Everything was too quiet. And then I smelled it. Not pine, not wax. Animal. Big animal. The kind of smell you notice in barns and stockyards. Rule 2. If animal stink fills nose and head, stay in the glow, do not tread. Do not run, do not go. You can't outrun fate. You already know. I stopped where I was, and the smell grew stronger. That didn't mean it was closer. I remembered that part. The rule hadn't bothered explaining why. I tightened my grip on the candle and stayed put. Something moved ahead of me. Not fast, wasn't sneaking. Slow and deliberate. I didn't move. My instincts screamed at me to back up, to turn around, to put distance between myself and whatever was coming. But instincts are great for getting you killed in places like this. I've read enough stories. The smell deepened, earthy, musky. It was wrong indoors. And then I saw the eyes. Low, wide, bright. They opened just beyond the reach of the candlelight, two pale discs hovering in the dark, unblinking. They stayed there, level with my knees, watching. Rule 5. If you see eyes low, wide, and bright, do not move, do not fight. The Yule Cat waits for those who stray. Stillness keeps its claws at bay. Oh my God. It was real. I'd heard stories about it when I was a kid. Not the kind you read in books or see on TV. The kind, that get told quietly, late at night, when someone's had a little too much to drink and starts remembering things they're not supposed to. My grandfather had told me once. He was from the old country, thick accent, hands like bricks. He didn't believe in much, but when he talked about Christmas, he always got serious. Said there were things that came out in winter, things older than Santa, older than churches, things that watched houses and waited. He called it the Yule Cat. Said it was huge, bigger than any animal had a right to be. Lived in the dark and ate the lazy, the careless, the ones who didn't earn their place, workers who skipped their duties, people who took and thought they'd never be noticed. He used to say you didn't run from it. Running meant you'd already lost. You stayed still. You stayed where the light touched you. And if you were lucky, and if you hadn't given it a reason, it would decide you weren't worth the effort. The eyes shifted slightly, tracking the flame in my hand. Something massive moved behind them, its outline refusing to settle into anything solid. I heard a sound like fabric tearing slowly, followed by the scrape of claws against concrete. I did not move or breathe. The candle guttered once. My heart jumped into my throat, but the flame held. The eyes lingered another second, then blinked, and then sank back into the darkness. The smell faded with them. I stayed frozen long after the eye was empty, and when I finally moved, it was only to step backward, careful not to let any part of me slip out of the light. And for the first time since I arrived, I didn't question the rules. I completely believed them. I hadn't taken more than a few steps before I heard it. Help! The voice was thin, desperate. A child's voice. I froze. Please, it called again. It's freezing out here. The sound came from the far side of the workshop, near the outer wall, near one of the doors. Rule 3 slid into my head. If someone cries for help outside, do not answer. Do not decide. I moved anyway. Not toward the door, just close enough to see. There was a window set into the wall beside it, tall and narrow, the glass rimmed with frost. Snow hammered against it from the blizzard outside, white streaks blurring everything beyond. A little boy stood on the other side, barely older than Max. His cheeks were red from the cold. His hair was matted with snow. He hugged himself tight, shivering hard enough I could see it through the glass. He knocked again, small and frantic. Please, I can't feel my hands. I took another step closer before I stopped myself. There's a door right there, the boy said, nodding toward it with his chin. His teeth were chattering now. Please, I just need to get out of the cold. His breath fogged the glass in uneven burst. Snow stuck to his eyelashes and melted down his cheeks like tears. I'm really cold. My mom told me not to go outside alone. I didn't listen. My hand lifted before I realized it moved. And then I saw what he was pressing against the window. They weren't hands. They were dark and split, thick and rounded at the ends, polished smooth, like they'd been worn down on stone. Hooves. The boy looked down at them too. And for a second his face went blank. And then he smiled. He looked back up at me, eyes shining bright in the reflected candlelight. You're gonna die here, Cole. I staggered back. The knocking stopped. I grabbed the heavy curtain beside the window and yanked it closed, the fabric slamming against the wall. I turned immediately to the door and checked the lock, then checked it again, making sure the bolt was thrown all the way. On the other side of the curtain, the voice was still there, amused. I could hear it laughing on the other side. I stayed there listening until the voice stopped. I didn't stop moving after that. I put distance between myself and the door, the curtain, the voice outside. The workshop opened up again, corridors branching off in quiet curves, candlelight stretching out of me. Then I found myself in a new room, and the door shut behind me. I turned as the lock slid into place. The room was huge, wider than it looked from the outside, and it was full of Santa suits, dozens of them. They stood in rows, shoulder to shoulder, all facing away from me. Red coats, white trim, black belts, heavy boots planted squarely on the floor. Some were taller than others, some broader. A few leaned forward slightly, like they were off balance. Above them, hanging from chains bolted into the ceiling, was a wooden sign. It said, "Pick one." I took a step forward. An arm moved. Just one. A white-gloved hand lifted a few inches, then settled again. Farther back, something shifted enough for a faint glow to appear beneath the brim of a Santa hat. I stopped breathing. I scanned the figures as quickly as I could. Some of the Santas had arms that bent wrong at the elbows. One shifted, and I saw hooves where boots should have been. Another had antlers pressing against the inside of its hat, stretching the fabric. These weren't decorations. I remembered Rule 4. Krampus wears a Santa face. Same red suit, same boots, same pace. One brings gifts, one keeps the score. Choose the wrong one. Nothing more. Then I saw it, all the way in the back, smaller and plainer. The red looked faded. The belt buckle was simple metal, scratched and dull. The beard hung straight instead of curled. The face was familiar. My grandfather had kept one just like it on the shelf above the fireplace. Same expression, same crooked smile. Same chip near the base, actually, where it had been dropped once and glued back together. I moved. Hands reached for me as I passed. Gloves brushed my jacket. Fingers and claws closed around air inches from my sleeves. One set caught fabric and yanked hard enough to spin me sideways, but I tore free and kept going. The temperature jumped all at once. Heat rolled through the room. Red fabric split open as I ran past, tearing away to reveal horned faces beneath. Mouths opened. Teeth showed. Something stepped forward at the back of the room. It was taller than the others, broader. The suit fitted better, like it'd been meant for this body. Krampus. One long arm extended toward me, claws spreading slowly. I ducked under it by inches. I stumbled forward and slammed into the Santa statue at the back of the room, grabbing it with both hands. And everything stopped. The heat vanished. The room emptied. Every other figure was gone. I stood there alone, clutching the statue, my chest heaving. The door behind me was open, and I didn't look back. I made my way back toward the front of the workshop. The candles were still burning. The doors were open now. The place felt quieter than before, like it was finished with whatever it needed from me. And that's when I heard someone laughing. A man stood near the main loading area, half hidden behind stacks of wrapped gifts. Mid-30s maybe. Puffer jacket. Gloves shoved into his pockets. He had a large canvas bag slung over his shoulder, already bulging. He was shoveling presents into it. Boxes, wrapped packages, stuff that clearly didn't belong to him. He looked up when he saw me and grinned. I don't know why they invited us here, man, but they're saps. I have made a killing tonight. He reached into the bag and pulled something out at random. Electronics, jewelry, watches, stuff that didn't look like it'd ever been on a shelf. $500,000, man, easy. I didn't respond. He laughed and kept going. Plane comes back. I toss this in and I'm gone, man. Back home by morning. Rich. He dug deeper into the bag, then paused. Oh, yeah. You want this? Take it, man. I can't carry it all, he said, pulling something out carefully. He held out a box. A train set. Heavy, antique. The kind I recognized instantly. Custom work, metal parts, hand-painted details. The kind collectors fought over. $50K easy, he said. Probably more. Custom job, take it, man. I got plenty. You can pawn that back in the States and do damn well. I took it. The weight of it settled into my hands. You know what this place is? I asked. He shrugged. Does it matter? Nobody's here, man. Whatever it is, it's a joke. These people are chumps, dude. We can take what we want and just leave. He adjusted his bag and nodded toward the door. Outside through the snow, I could see a plane descending. Come on, he said. I didn't answer. I looked down at the box in my hands. Train set was heavier than it looked. Real metal. The kind of train that doesn't exist anymore unless someone goes out of their way to make it. I turned it slightly and saw the tag tied to the handle with red string. Handwritten. Max Wilkerson, age 7, from Santa. Below that, in smaller letters, it read, "We didn't forget you." Something in my chest shifted. The man followed my eyes and snorted, "Kid stuff, right? Probably left over. You know how places like this are." I didn't say anything. Outside, the plane's engines grew louder as it dropped through the snow, landing hard on the ice beyond the door. The ramp began to lower. He turned and jogged toward the plane, bag bouncing against his back, packages shifting inside it. I stayed where I was. The wind howled in through the open door, snow blasting sideways into the workshop. The candles flickered, but didn't go out. He looked back at me for a second, confused, then annoyed. "Suit yourself." The ramp closed. The plane lifted off almost immediately, engines screaming as it climbed into the storm. I stepped closer to the doorway and watched it rise, lights blinking red against the clouds. I don't know why exactly I didn't get on it. The sky darkened. Not with weather. Something massive moved above the workshop, the storm folding inward around it. The clouds parted just enough for me to see the shape forming inside them. Horns, a head the size of a building. There was no mistaking it. Krampus. Not a shadow, not a trick of light. A towering shape carved out of a shadow and red cloud, antlers twisting back into the storm, eyes burning like embers deep set into a skull that shouldn't have existed in the sky. The plane climbed straight toward him. Its lights blinked red against the clouds, the engines straining as it tried to gain altitude. For a moment, it looked small enough to be a toy. Krampus opened his mouth. It was wider than the wingspan of the plane. Rows of teeth unfolded inside it, layer after layer. The engines cut out, and the plane vanished into his mouth. The clouds closed then, and the storm collapsed back into itself, like it'd never been there. I stood there in the open bay, still holding the train set. I just stood there. The only thing I could think to do was go back. I carried the train set through the workshop, past the candles in the quiet rooms, back down the curved hallway to the side room. The door was still there, and I opened it. Max was asleep. He lay on the side of the narrow bed, the blanket pulled up to his shoulders. The hospital band is still around his wrist. The candle on the small table beside him burned low and steady. I didn't wake him. I set the box down carefully on the floor next to the bed, close enough that he'd see it when he opened his eyes. I picked up the note and placed it on top of the box. Max Wilkerson, age 7. From Santa. We didn't forget you. The little ghost boy shifted slightly in his sleep, his fingers curling around the blanket. But he didn't wake up. I backed out of the room and quietly closed the door. The workshop felt different now, quieter. I walked back to the front and sat down in the metal chair near the entrance. The blizzard was still tearing across the ice outside, white and endless, the wind pushing snow sideways, hard enough to blur everything beyond a few feet. I sat there and stared into it. I thought about the plane, about the room with the Santas, about the kid asleep in the back with a train beside his bed. I didn't know what was supposed to happen next. And then I heard it. The sound came from outside. Through the blowing snow, shapes descended out of the sky, dark at first, then clearer as they came lower. Reindeer, big ones, though I didn't know how big a reindeer was. Harnesses cutting through the storm, a sleigh settling onto the ice with a heavy scrape. The wind eased just enough for the sound of bells. A moment later, Boots crunched on concrete. And Santa walked in. Red coat, white beard, cookie in one hand, half eaten. Crumbs fell onto his coat and the floor as he chewed. He didn't look impressed, but he didn't look angry exactly either. His eyes found me immediately.
"Cole Keaton,"
he said, serious now. My stomach dropped.
"Come here, boy."
I gulped and walked over. Santa reached into his coat and pulled out a thick book. The cover was worn smooth from use. He flipped through the pages without looking at them, then stopped. And there it was, my name, under the naughty list. He frowned at it for half a second, and then he took his pen and crossed it out. He looked back over at me, took a bite of a cookie, and winked. After that, things went fast. I asked Holly for her number before I left. She laughed at me, told me she didn't have one, and wrote something down on the back of a torn tag instead. Her Elfstagram. I still don't really know what to do with that. I didn't get any more money after the job. No bonus, no follow-up. When I got home, though, I opened my apartment door and stopped cold. There was a Christmas tree standing in the middle of my living room. Not a cheap one, not something rushed. It was tall and full and perfect. The branches thick and real, covered in ornaments that looked like they'd been collected over decades. Glass ones, hand-painted ones. Stuff that felt personal in a way I wasn't used to. Under it were gifts. A lot of them. 10 years worth, actually. Everything I remembered asking for as a kid. Stuff I'd forgotten I ever wanted until I saw it again. Toys, games, books. Things I'd learned early not to expect. I didn't open them all at once. I took my time. I'm way too old for most of it now, but I still played with it anyway. Don't tell anyone. A while later, I got another message. An invitation. Same week, same deal. The week of Christmas. They said I'd done good work last time. I haven't answered yet. Some nights, when it's snowing hard outside, I sit by my window and stare out into it. I think about sitting in that chair by the workshop doors, watching the storm tear across the ice. I remember Santa stepping back into his sleigh, brushing crumbs off his coat, calling the reindeer by name like in the stories. They shifted first, hooves scraping against the ice, harnesses tightening, breath pouring out of them in thick white clouds as they leaned forward, muscles bunching under their hides. And then they started to move. At a walk at first, slow, measured, bells chiming softly as the sleigh rolled behind them. Then faster, a run, the runners rattling, the reins snapping once as Santa pulled them tight. The front of the sleigh lifted just an inch, and the whole thing rose off the ice. The reindeer pulled harder, legs stretching forward, hooves never quite touching the ground again. Snow kicked up beneath them and then fell away as the sleigh climbed higher and higher, cutting straight up into the storm. The red lights faded. The sleigh bells went quiet. I remember staring up in awe, watching Santa and his sleigh fly through the dark night. And for the first time in my life, I liked Christmas.